Welcome to What the Tech, the show that cuts through the corporate BS. And boy, do we have a story for you today. OpenAI just dropped an absolute bombshell about mental health, and we're going to tear it apart. Is this a breakthrough or just some seriously slick crisis PR? Let's get into it.
All right, let's kick things off with a number. A huge number that OpenAI themselves just threw out there, 560,000. So what is that? Well, according to them, that's how many people using ChatGPT every single week might be showing signs of, get this, mania or psychosis. Yeah, we're talking about a serious break from reality here. 500,000 people, weekly. Just let that sink in.
But wait, it gets worse, a lot worse. You see, you're also flagging another 0.15% of their users for potential suicidal intent, and another equal amount for what they call unhealthy attachment. Basically, people getting way too emotionally dependent on the chatbot. So if you do the quick math on their 800 million weekly users, we're talking about another 2.4 million people combined. Millions of users who might be suicidal or dangerously attached to a piece of software.
Look, these are not just statistics, right? Behind these numbers are real people, real stories of harm. We've heard about hospitalizations, lives turned upside down, all tied to these intense, late-night chats with AI. So, in the face of this absolute crisis, what does OpenAI do? They roll out their big solution, their fix. They're calling it the safer chatbot.
So what's in this fix? Well, the official story is that they've brought in over 170 experts from around the world. They've apparently tuned GPT-5 to be a better mental health spotter. It's supposed to be empathetic, but not so empathetic that it starts agreeing with someone's delusions. And they're claiming it cuts down on those, quote, undesired answers, especially in those marathon chat sessions late at night where things can get weird.
And here's the perfect soundbite to wrap it all up in a neat little bow. Their own safety lead says the goal is to get struggling people to professional help. And you know what? It sounds great. It sounds responsible. Almost heroic, doesn't it?
But you're watching What the Tech, so you know we don't just take the press release at face value. Is this really about safety, or is something else going on? It's time to deconstruct this PR masterpiece, because once you start pulling at the threads, the whole thing unravels fast.
So, here's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Are we seeing a responsible company actually fixing a problem? Or is this just a brilliant PR campaign to put a Band-Aid on a crisis that they created in the first place?
Okay, so their big claim is, we fixed the model. It gives safer answers now. But that's like putting a filter on a cigarette and calling it a health product. It completely ignores the real problem, the product design itself. Their whole business model is built on engagement, keeping you hooked for longer, creating that emotional dependency. A safer answer doesn't change the fundamental incentive to create the very risk they're now claiming to solve.
So let's get into the major problems with this whole story. Problem number 1, self-serving metrics. Of course their fix works. They wrote the test. This is the oldest trick in the book. You grade your own homework, you're going to get an A+ every single time. Problem number 2, this thing is a total black box. There is zero transparency. They won't tell us how they define psychosis. They won't show us the validation data. They won't tell us how often it gets things wrong. We're just supposed to trust them. Trust us, our secret algorithm is perfect. Yeah, right. And that brings us to problem number 3, narrative laundering. I love that term. They're trying to frame this as a simple technical tweak. Oh, we just adjusted some parameters in the model. But they're completely ignoring the elephant in the room. Their product design choices are what pushed people into these dangerous situations to begin with.
Okay, so the fix is sketchy and the story is pure PR. So what? What's the real-world fallout here? Well, this little announcement has just opened a gigantic can of worms. We're talking liability, risk, and the complete destruction of trust.
Think about it. By saying, hey world, we can spot psychosis, they've basically invited regulators to their doorstep. Now they could be subject to healthcare laws. And what happens when it screws up and misses someone in crisis? Hello, massive lawsuits. And let's not forget, they've just admitted to spying on our mental states through our chat history. It's a surveillance nightmare. How could anyone, especially a doctor, ever trust a system this opaque?
And this is maybe the most important takeaway. Let's just call what they're doing by its real name. Privatized triage. You've got a for-profit tech company playing doctor and screening millions of people for mental illness at scale, without your permission, and with zero medical oversight. This is completely uncharted and frankly terrifying territory.
Okay, so we've torn their solution apart. It's easy to be a critic, right? So what's the alternative?
If this secret update isn't the answer, what would a real fix actually look like? What does being a responsible tech company even mean in a situation like this?
Well, for starters, real responsibility isn't a blog post, it's radical transparency. Publish your damn methodology. Let independent researchers audit your work. It's funding real clinical trials to see if this thing helps or hurts people in the real world. It means redesigning the product from the ground up to be safer, not just putting a sticker on it. And here's the big one, ask for permission. Get explicit opt-in consent before you start playing psychiatrist with people's private conversations.
So, let's just be blunt. This is our final verdict. This whole announcement isn't about safety. It's damage control. It's a shiny piece of crisis PR wrapped around a tech demo pretending to be responsible medicine. Dropping these bombshell numbers on the public without any real data or proof to back it up, it's not just irresponsible, it's reckless.
And that's what I want to leave you with. A final thought. Can you really call a feature safe when it's just a band-aid on a product it's designed from its very core to create the wound in the first place? Think about that.
This is the kind of no BS analysis we do here every single time. If you're tired of the hype and you want the real story, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button for WtT. You won't regret it.